Well, hi. So, welcome to another stream. Last week we worked a bit on a few tracks. A few tracks of mine. I'm a little bit sick, so my voice is not the best right now. I hope it will work anyway. You check? Yes, everything looks fine. Okay. Yeah, good news for one. I'm planning to upload at least 2 more tracks at one remix this year. So expect probably 3 more songs, 3 more uploads. If everything goes fine, if everything goes alright. Have to schedule a bunch of things. Sometimes you need to wait for the video and all this kind of stuff. But it will very likely will happen when I can upload a bunch of more songs until the end of the year. By the end of the year. Well, for now, I worked on a new track. I just started it yesterday. This might take a while to load. So, somebody in the chat posted a future-based track, and it really inspired me to work on this kind of music myself. I already made a bunch of future-based tracks. Well, not really full tracks, but more of just some small demos. That's why I didn't upload them. But this one, for example, is one I really like, and I think I probably will make it to a full track. You can see I just started yesterday on this track, not even, well, a bit over a day ago. And let's have a listen to the track. So, yeah, this is the kind of thing I'm working on right now. It's actually not that complex so far. What I really like about this one is the chord progression. Because if you look here, let me open up the piano. I just used a very basic 2-5-1 chord progression. So, for everybody who doesn't know music theory, a musical scale has 7 steps, as well as in major or in minor. So this one is in D major, and we have 7 steps. It will repeat after the 7th. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So as you can hear, the 1st and the 8th note are the same, basically just an octave above. So, and this is why the progression is called a 2-5-1, because you basically coming from the 1st step, going to the, well, let me play it an octave higher. You're basically coming from the 1st step, going to the 5th, and then going back to a 1. Oh, I'm sorry, you're coming from the 2nd step to the 5th one to the 1st. And what I also do what I also did here is I also add the 6th step of a scale, because the 6th step in a major scale is basically it's kind of like well, it's a bit hard to explain for me in English, so just look up about scales and jazz harmonics. But actually, so this is what you're basically hearing in the chorus. It's just this. Oh wait. And what you do here now in the second part of the chorus, which is a very smooth transition. It goes from it starts again at the 2nd step, then goes up to the 3rd, then goes to the 6th and to the 5th. So, and the final result. Wait, just let me copy this into another pattern so you can hear this played. well, I could play it on my piano. It would be a bit hard because I actually I recorded this all by myself with my MIDI keyboard right next to me here. Amazing sound. So I basically, yeah, I played it, but I played it in F major, so it would be a bit difficult to transpose on the fly for me. So let's just let me copy everything in, and you can listen for yourself. Wait, here we go. Okay, and now let's have a listen how the whole chord progression in the chorus sounds together. And this is basically the chord progression for the chorus, and that brought me an idea. The idea was I'm going to use a chord progression in every a different chord progression in every different part of the track. So meaning the chorus will have a different chord progression, the main the main verse will have a different chord progression, and also the end will sound differently. I also already wrote something down, what I can use here, but I didn't actually play it in right now. So this is probably what we're going to do on the stream, or let's say what I'm going to do, and you can watch me fail trying. So, but first things first, let me explain a few things about the track. So as I told you, it's a future-based track. The drums are actually pretty simple. It's basically just this rhythm right here. Yeah, it's a rhythm you can find everywhere from hip-hop to R&B. So it's very common, nothing too special, nothing too complex. Just these hi-hats here. It gives a bit movement, so the track is constantly moving and kind of finds its way forward. Also, what I really like about here is I used my synthesizer, my expander module for this one. It's a Waldorf Rocket, and the raw sound of it without any effects would be it would sound like, in a second, it would sound like, yeah, here. It would sound like this. So it just basically plays an arpeggio over the root note, which is D, or let's say it plays the arpeggio of a chord over the root note, so in this case a D major. And with effects it would sound like this. So just to make it a bit more spacey, I added a lot of reverb, Also a stereo enhancer to make it a bit more wider, and also a high pass filter, and also I added a bit more stuff to the high section, and just a limiter, just because why not? Yeah, and together it sounds like this. Okay, and the lead is also a very interesting thing, because it's layered with actually 3 different kind of lead sounds. So this is the one I originally had in mind, but it sounded a bit thin, a bit weak. That's why I added the second one. I really like this one because it kind of has this 80s vibe going on with this one. So it kind of sounded a bit old schoolish, which actually fits quite nicely into this track. And this little sound here, which is from a preset I made. Let me check, where is it? Which one is it? This one, which I did a while back. So, and this is just a bit for background, just to spacing out the whole thing a bit, just to give it a bit more room to live. Also, I used some normal pad sounds, layered a bunch of sounds onto each other. This is actually the main synth. These two. These are the synth sets which make these kind of wobbly sounds, and also the most dominant, like almost like a brass-like sound. And this one is the bass sound. And what I also did, you can maybe hear it a bit better on the bass track. I just play it with a kick. The thing I did here is I sidechain compressed it, which is a technique I will talk about probably later in the stream, or maybe in another stream. I think I also talked about it in one of my first streams, I think even in the first one. So this is a different kind of technique I use for sidechaining sometimes. What it basically does, it's you can see here a trigger. This one is from the plugin P controller, and this one specifically is linked to the ceiling of the limiter of the bass, meaning that every time you can hear a kick come in, the ceiling will go down and will automatically lower the volume of the bass sound. So just simply speaking. So basically every time the kick comes in, every other instrument that I chain together with one of these controllers, as you can see, the main synth, the bass synths, and the effects, it will always go down a bit, which makes the kick a bit more powerful, a bit more, it has a bit more impact. So yeah, which is something you can hear and see, especially very well here. So it just ducks down a bit at this point. But anyway, let's work on the track, especially the part after the drop. I intend this one to be the first drop. The second one will be a little bit different from an instrumentation kind of standpoint, but I'm not quite sure what I'm using there for the next drop. So let's just work on the part after the drop. So the second verse, basically. So as you can imagine, I don't want to make it as loud and as filled as the drop, because the drop is always kind of a highlight, and making the whole track as loud as the drop would pretty much defeat the purpose of a drop, to be the most exciting point of a track. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to work on the second chord progression, which I told you, every part of the track is going to have a different chord progression. So just let me copy something here, and we can work on it. I will first off edit this in the piano. So I actually don't have an instrument in mind yet, which I'm going to use for this break or verse part. So I'm just using a piano here as a kind of neutral working space. So the main progression is supposed to sound kind of like this. Let me grab my book here. My note here. So what I might be a bit quiet if I talk from here. Oh, this is a bit hard to play. So I actually just want to go from the fourth step to from the fourth step to the fifth one, to the sixth one, and to the third. And just let me play the main chords here. Oh, well, I actually think I can play it with the bass. And oh yeah, this is what I wanted to have it to sound like. First chord. So just let me record this for a second. Go. And it didn't record anything. Why it didn't record anything? May I ask what's going on? Okay, let me do this again. Here we go. Actually played the wrong chord, but that's not a problem. We can just change the bass here. Let me see if okay, here I see something weird. This is not, should not supposed to be here, but it doesn't really affect the sound in any way. So let's just go on without let's just go on and check if everything from the length is equal, and I think these one are a bit too long. Yes, they are. So we need to be around this short, I think. Now they're a bit too short, okay. So around this length. Yes, okay, nice. Okay. So as I said, I want to go from this chord, from the 4th step to the 5th step. No, of course without these notes. So now I want to have a 7. Sounds a bit odd. Yeah, so let's just add this one in. Wait. Something's this one as well. And this one too. So, and the next chord I wanted to have in this track is, I think this was actually the same one I used the first time when I played the 5th chord. Oops, sounds a bit odd, but I think it's the right one. Yes, it is. So let's hear it. And this one can go back. So all these notes on the top can stay down here. This one just needs to go right here. Okay. I think this would sound a bit better. No, okay. But this one sounds a bit empty in comparison to this one, because they have a note less than the other chords, a voice less. So let's just add one from the scale. I think this one would be very good, because this is basically the interval is called 4th and 4th and 5th. Basically always sound nice if you play them. So you can just add them into the chord to make them a bit more richer. I think this one sounds a bit better. Okay, now we have a nice chord progression to work with. Let's check this in comparison. So I don't really know right now what kind of instrument I'm going to use. So I just use my this patch right here which I made, which is supposed to be a pad sound, but it sounds almost a bit like an organ, and I think we can use this. We can also layer this with other pad sound, with this one. go. Oh, now I have an idea. I maybe make a low pass filter here, which will cut down to almost 0 and then goes up again, just to give like kind of a wavy effect, just to open up a bit again. I think this one would also sound a bit harsh in this place. I need something softer there. But let's just link these two pads together. Here we go. Yes, nice. So, oh, by the way, the shortcut for naming channels or naming anything in FL Studio is F2. So, what do we have here? We have the pad sound, and this was on insert. I think it was 12 and 13, if I'm not mistaken. So let me check. It's 12 and 13. Okay, nice. Now, what I'm going to do here? Oh wait, this one is still a bit too loud. Oh, not too loud. The cutoff is still open, which I want to have closed in the first part, so it still has room to be a bit louder in the drop later on. But yeah, let's just add this little low pass thing here. Making low pass filter, by the way, is very easy with Fruity parametric EQ2. So you're just clicking on the button you want to edit, and right on the band you want to edit. So then you can simply go to order, 8-step, type, low pass, and here we go. You can smooth things out a bit with this knob here. I don't know how to call it, ratio or percentage or whatever. So just smooth this one out a bit right here. And now you can make this pad sound. Oh wait. Should actually look for a nice starting sound from where to go up. This one sounds very good. This one here. Oh, by the way, if you're writing anything in the chat today, it still doesn't work. I maybe need a second monitor here, but I can't read the chat right now. I'm sorry. I'll try to reply to everything you write later on. Here we go. But I'm sorry, the chat is not working for me today. But I try to answer all of your questions you post here. So it's not because I don't want to see any questions, I don't want to respond to anything. It's just that I can't right now. But anyway, let's listen to what I made here. I think it needs a little bit more time to open up. Maybe like this. Could be a bit faster. Yeah, so the problem is basically that we are already having a very low pass sounding, not low pass sounding, a very bass and low mid range synthesizers here, so we cannot hear a very nice effect on this one. We could also try the other thing, we could also try it with a high pass filter, but I think I'm going to make the same thing with the drums, so it will have a bit more of an effect here. But now let's just add some effects. The effect I was thinking about was like kind of a very quiet, crash. This is a pack I use very often, by the way. It's the Archie and Silverhound pack. So you can, I think you can still download it for free. It has a lot of very good effect tracks, a lot of very nice sample and melody tracks, which you can all use. And I think this pack is still for free. So let's just listen what it sounds like. Here we go. I'm going to extend it a bit, it cuts, it's a bit too short at the end. Maybe the chords should probably also go all the way to the end, because we don't have any filled sounds in between, so it's not necessary for them to stop earlier. And let's do the same thing here. Okay, here we go. Nice. Sounds rather good, I think. The thing I'm going to do now is I'm basically just copying the whole drum section here again and just play it. Maybe I need other claps here, or another snare sound. It sounds a bit too exciting, a bit too loud. And I actually don't need to do this. I simply can. Here we go. And simply make a new unique pattern and basically delete all the claps here. Here we go. And just replace it with the other drum patterns. And let's have a listen. Brings me to the idea. I'm probably not going to make the first clap on this step. I'm probably going to make it here, so it sounds a bit more floating in the first few seconds. It has a bit more room. It doesn't come in right away. And I might as well add the hi-hats at this point. Okay, and well, let's use just some nice and a bit more quiet snare. I think this one sounds good. Let's just check out how it sounds. Get it shorter. Nice. Okay. So let's add a bit of variation in the drums. doesn't sound as I intended, but it also sounds nice. More like this, now it should fit. Nice, exactly how I wanted it to be. Also, I probably should not forget the bass. Just added this one. Make this one unique. Copy the MIDI, drag it here. And put it here. Well, it starts to sound very well. Same thing here, make it unique, copy the MIDI, open the pattern, delete everything, add this one. I think this one's too high. Yeah, it needs to be down. Okay, and now it should sound like this. Okay, I think this is a very nice transition, but it still needs a bit more. So let's add simply more layers of pad sounds to it. This is basically the easiest way to make the track more richer. Just add more and more pad sounds. You can't have enough of them. Let me check for a nice flavor. I think we're going with silent again. And let's see what we can use here actually. If there's something useful. Some presets, because I don't want to make a preset right now. I also don't have any idea what it sounds like, so let's just play a few random sounds and let's see how it turns out. Good organ, but no. I like this one, but it sounds a bit odd, almost a bit off. I can't see why right now. I mean, this one sounds nice, but I kind of don't like the gate. Maybe I like the gate in it. Let's see. Does it fit? Well, it actually does fit, in my opinion, kind of. But I don't want to be such a loud gate sound, so it's pretty much in the middle. And let's check why it's even there. It's probably because of this LFO. Let me turn it down. Well, to my surprise, it's not the LFO, but this means there's something different, which causes this gate. Kind of wondering why he doesn't use the arpeggiator, whoever made this, because the Silent Fawn arpeggiator also has an interim gate mode. I think it's called chord here. Oh, wait, or is it? No, I think this is the chord mode, where it basically just it adds a gate to your track. Makes me wondering why he made it not like this. So it's clearly one of the effects. Kind of baffles me a bit. I think there are probably some people in chat right now already figured it out and just sit there and see how I suffer. Maybe there's somebody in the chat. Nope, nobody in the chat. Okay. Yeah, I don't exactly know why. I think I'll leave this in for now. Oh, we actually did use it. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so apparently the arpeggiator can be on, even if it's not switched on, or at least the gate can be used if it's not switched on. Okay, that kind of surprised me. So what I'm trying to do here right now is to find the exact sweet spot where the gate is not too loud, but where you can also hear the gate. So I think it's a bit hard right now. Well, it's actually not hard, it's just a lot of trial and error. I think it sounds very nice this way. Let's expand it a bit more. And well, let's also add a new compressor. Well, I just see a problem. We accidentally put the clap and the pad on the same channel. Well, not too much of a deal since we did not made anything special with the clap so far, so we can simply just reassign it and do kind of the same things here. Also give it a bit EQ. It sounds a bit, the clap right now sounds a bit weak, so let's just add another layer. And I think I already said it in Stream ago, I really like these iSet sounds, which are apparently sound very nice for claps for some reason. And let's just add this one to our clap. So I just already EQ'd it a little bit. Well, so I already EQ'd it a little bit and add a little limiter to it, some reverb, so just some basic stuff. The thing I'm doing now here is I'm again assigning them both to one channel for a very simple reason. So if I want to change the sound of one of these claps both together, I don't need to change them individually and maybe destroy some of this balance between the first and the second clap. So I can just both place them and make them louder and quieter simultaneously, which makes the workflow a lot of more easier. I also think the hi-hats are a bit too loud in the section. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a clip that triggers the loudness. The reason why I don't use this volume slider to change the loudness, or at least to change it with automation, is the very simple reason because once you set automation to one of these sliders, you cannot change it anymore in the track, at least to my knowledge. I tried a bunch of things, but it never worked for me. Maybe there's a way. There's probably a way to fix this. But I think it's just way easier to make, to use another volume controlling plugin. For example, I always use Stereo Enhancer because it has this very easy to use knob. You can just tweak for loudness. So let me just reset this. And yeah, so if you fail anything, if you destroy anything in the dynamics by adding too much or changing too much on this enhancer, you can always just remove the plugin and load in a new one. So this track would have no more effect. This automation clip. So let's put this one right here at the volume we have it right now. And well, also this is a perfect way to demonstrate it right now to you. So let me just play this. So as you can see, I can make it louder and quieter here. But as soon as I'll hit the play button again, it will automatically reset to the last volume it read here, because this one is already still at the volume. So it means that this volume is basically continuing throughout the whole track until something tells the trigger to change anything. So that means basically until there's a new automation clip telling this knob to change. So this is why I'm going to use a second automation clip here. I think this one sounds nice. And let's check this. Of course, always make it unique. In doubt, just always press make unique. Because if you don't make a second unique track, or second unique version of it, what will happen is it will also affect this one, and in the worst case, everything you did in the first automation will be lost in the process. So in doubt, always make this one unique. So there you're on the safe side. I think they're a bit too quiet. Let's just raise it up a bit. Okay, well, I actually didn't heard the transition to the track right now, so let's just hear it. So I noticed this one was way too loud, and it could also use some stereo enhancement. I know we use this plugin way too often, but it just makes sounds a bit more wider, and which is something I very like, especially in the kind of high pass section. This is where I really want to have this widespread sound. So let me just play it around with the drum pattern a bit here. Nice. So just to add a little bit variation in the drums. This is also a bit too loud. Might also need a snare. I just pick a nice snare sound. I want something kind of in the in the lower section which supports the claps a bit in the low mids. So let's check out different snares. It's kind of like, oh, maybe we could also use, oh god, no, go back here. Ah, god damn it. So here, nice. Yeah, so just let's open up little drum live synthesizer, or drums with live, I'm sorry, which is basically an emulator for the 808 and 909 kick, I'm sorry, 808 and 909 drum machines, where it can tweak a lot of parameters. And sometimes it sounds very well, sometimes it doesn't. By the way, the kick I'm using the whole time here in the track is actually from this plugin. Of course, with a whole lot of different kind of compression and distortion. Without the distortion, it would sound like this. So I just added a lot of stuff here, just to make it very loud. Well, not that loud actually, but louder than it was before, way louder. And let's look for the snare. I think the 909 snare should sound good here. Where is it? Here. Or maybe 80, I think the 808 would be a bit better. Even, let me check, where is it? Here we go. Okay. Let's check. Here we go. Here is it. So we can. And the reason why I also like this plugin is because you can, like in a real drum machine, these are not samples to my knowledge. Play here. These are actually sounds that are generated by the plugin itself. So this is where you can use a bunch of parameters here to change the sound. For example, like if I put this one down here, or maybe here, it will sound way flatter. So kind of want to still have the snare sound. What happens if I... Oh yeah, this is the kind of thing I want. Maybe tire. So I want to be very punchy and check it. And I'm just going to play around with some of these knobs and see if there's something nice coming out of it. Oh no. This one, the output level, okay. Let's just try it. Trying some EQ on it. Also a bit distortion. Where is it? Right here, bad crusher. Sounds a bit too dull. Not really what I wanted, so let's just scrap this idea and use this sample. And it doesn't do anything, okay. So let's put this one here. I think we should also pitch it down a little bit. Oh no. Did something I totally did not want to do here. Oh no, what was the last time I saved? Well, I think I'll check later on what I actually removed here as a sample. But it has a lot of reverb, so it probably was one of the claps. Or maybe let's have a listen. It was not the reverb. Nope. This also was not changed. What about this one? Well, so I'm just going to look later on what I actually changed here. Well, but yeah, apparently it was nothing too bad as it seems. Oh right, so it was just the claps, not the claps, the snap. So we put it here. Right. Okay, so now we can work on it again. Yeah, this sounds way better. So just push it up here a bit. A bit low pass, a bit high pass. So we make basically a band pass filter here with a high peak here at the 260 Hz mark. And now let's give it a bit more punch by adding the head crusher. Very nice. This is exactly what I wanted to have. So it should also not overshadow the other samples. Okay, well, we are actually quite productive on this one. I see the stream is almost over, and I think we did pretty well. So we added the chords, the new chords, the new chord progression to the song. We were able to add a bunch of new things, to change out a little bit here and there, and basically improve the song and keep the song onward. So this is a very solid base we can work on. Well, I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I hope I can see you next time. and have a nice day. Bye.